what's up? It's Richie here with Satisfying Football. These are my college football week 3 midday games, the 3:30 games, starting with Alabama and Florida. Alabama did what they wanted against Mercer, 48-14. Bryce Young, 227, 3 touchdowns. Defensively had 3 sacks, 2 turnovers, and a blocked punt return for a touchdown. Florida had a good first half against USF. They did win 42-20. Emory Jones sucks though. He passed for 151 yards, 1 touchdown, 2 picks, and almost threw a third, making passes. He's been there 4 years. He should know better right now. He did run for 81 yards and a touchdown. And Anthony Richardson was 3 for 3, 152 passing yards, 2 touchdown passes, plus ran for 115 yards and a touchdown with an 80-yard touchdown run. Jacob Copeland, 5 catches, 175 yards, and 2 touchdowns. They did put up 666 yards of offense against USF. But it's Alabama, and if Emory Jones starts and keeps playing, I mean, he shouldn't play. I'm just going to say that. I'm going to go. I want Florida to win. I can't see them winning with Emory playing. I'm going to go Alabama getting the win there. All right, Kent State and Iowa. Kent State beat Virginia Military Institute 60-10. Dustin Crum, 180 passing and a touchdown, plus 70 rushing and a touchdown. Marquez Cooper, 119 rushing yards and a touchdown. They had 698 yards of offense. Defensively, they forced 4 turnovers, and Montre Miller had 3 interceptions by himself. He had the hat trick. In Iowa, they had a big rivalry win against Iowa State, 27-17. Spencer Peaches, 106 passing and a touchdown. Defensively, that's what won them the game. They had 4 turnovers and a fumble return for a touchdown. I think Iowa better be careful in this game. Kent State is a really, really strong offense. And Iowa, they have maybe one of the best defenses in the country. They don't have much of an offense. I mean, Iowa's picked by 21.5. I think this could be an upset. I'm not going to pull it. I'm going to say Iowa wins. I think it'll be closer than 21.5. And I'm putting Iowa on a major upset alert. All right, Georgia Tech and Clemson. Georgia Tech did pretty well against Kennesaw State, 45-17. Jordan Yates, 254 passing and 4 touchdowns. Defensively, forced 3 turnovers and had a fumble return for a touchdown. Clemson they won against South Carolina State 40-93, but DJ Uiagalelei did not play well. 171 passing, 1 touchdown and a pick. He did run for 2 touchdowns. They put up 504 yards, but they had 3 turnovers in that game. If they have 3 turnovers against Georgia Tech, Georgia Tech may be able to come out with a win, but I'll say Clemson wins in the end. All right, Tulsa and Ohio State. Tulsa lost a close game to Oklahoma State, 28-23. Davis Brand, 224 passing and 37 rushing. Defensively, they did have a pick 6. Ohio State's coming off a pretty big loss to Oregon, 35-28. CJ Stroud, though, still a Heisman runner, 484 passing, 3 touchdowns and a pick. They had 3 receivers go over 100 yards receiving. Jackson Smith and Njigba, 7 catches, 145 yards and 2 touchdowns. Chris Olave, 12 catches, 126 yards. And Garrett Wilson, 8 catches for 117 yards and a touchdown. They had 612 yards of offense. I think they're going to be mad. I think they're going to be pissed. And I think they're going to take care of Tulsa pretty easily. All right, SMU and Louisiana Tech. Possible high-scoring game here. SMU beat North Texas 35-12. It was close though at halftime. It was only like 14-6 or something. Tanner Mordecai still fared pretty well. 312 passing, 4 touchdowns and 2 picks. Ulysses Bentley ran for 141 yards and a touchdown and caught 1 touchdown. They put up 537 yards. They turned over 4 times. I don't think they can do that against Louisiana Tech. And still win 35-12 anyway. Louisiana Tech, though, did struggle with Southeast Louisiana. They only won 45-42. Austin Kendall, 217 passing, a touchdown, a pick, plus 1 rushing. They had 598 yards of offense. Defensively, they forced 3 turnovers, 3 sacks, and had a pick 6. Defensively, they allowed 598 yards, which SMU can definitely put that one up. Like I said, this could be high scoring. The over-under is 65.5. So I think they expect that to be high scoring, but I'm going to go with SMU just with a slight edge in there. All right, FSU and Wake Forest. FSU's coming off maybe the worst loss in history. They lost on a last-second touchdown pass to Jacksonville State, and it wasn't even a Hail Mary. It was just a guy running a route. They lost to 1AA Jacksonville State 20-17. Mackenzie Milton, I thought would be okay. 133 passing, a touchdown, a pick. Deshaun Corbin was about all they had, 109 rushing yards and a touchdown. Defensively, they did have 5 sacks, so if they want to stop Wake Forest high-powered offense, they're going to need to do that again. Wake Forest fared well against Norfolk State, 41-16. Sam Hartman, 244 and 1 touchdown rushing and 1 passing. Defensively, had 3 sacks. I have a hard time with what Florida State did against Jacksonville State. If they show up like that against Wake Forest. Now, their offense will wipe the floor with Florida State. I do think at least Wake Forest will win. All right, Delaware and Rutgers. Rutgers had a nice win against Syracuse, 17-7. Noah Vedral, 145 passing and a touchdown. Defensively, they had 5 sacks and forced 5 turnovers. They should be able to get to 3-0 against Delaware. Eastern Michigan and UMass. Eastern Michigan, they lost to Wisconsin 34-7, and that 1 touchdown was a pick 6. Between Preston Hutchinson and Ben Bryant, they only went 10 of 20 for 76 yards and a pick. Only had 92 total yards in that game. Whereas UMass, they lost to Boston College 45-28, but their offense looked better than they have in a long time. Brady Olson, he came in 214 passing, 3 touchdowns and 2 picks. They turned over 3 times in that game, which is part of the reason why maybe they couldn't have upset Boston College. I think UMass maybe showed something on offense. I think UMass actually will get a win here against Eastern Michigan. All right, Baylor and Kansas. Baylor looked really good against Texas Southern. They went 66-7. Jerry Bohannon, 247 passing, 3 touchdown passes, plus 2 rushing. They had 3 guys go over 100 yards rushing. Abram Smith, 126 rushing and 2 touchdowns. Treston Ebner, 125. And Tay McWilliams, 102 rushing and a touchdown. Tyquan Thornton had 5 catches for 103 yards and 2 touchdowns. They put up 714 yards of offense. Where Kansas, they looked pretty good. Jason Bean, a quarterback, didn't look bad, but they lost to Coastal Carolina still, 49-22. Bean passed for 189, but he did run for 102 yards and 2 touchdowns there. So this possibly could be kind of a high-scoring game, but I'm going to say Baylor outlasts Kansas. All right, Long Island against Miami of Ohio. Miami of Ohio played a really close game against Minnesota, only lost 31-26. Gabbert passed for 201, 2 touchdowns and a pick, and they shouldn't have much trouble with LIU. Bryant and Akron. Akron did lose to Temple 45-24. DJ Irons, 109 passing, a touchdown and pick, plus 1 rushing. Cato Nelson, 82 passing yards and a touchdown. Michael Matheson, 8 catches, 101 yards there. Akron, they're still not a very good team, but they should at least be able to beat Bryant. Elon and App State. App State almost had a nice upset against Miami, 25-23. Chase Bryce, 199 passing, a touchdown pick, and a kick return for a touchdown. Appalachian State should have no trouble with putting Elon away. All right, Idaho and Oregon State. Oregon State looked pretty good against Hawaii, 45-27. Chance Nolan, 302 passing and 2 touchdowns. BJ Baylor ran for 171 and 3 touchdowns. Anthony Good, 7 catches, 119 yards and a touchdown. They put up 558 yards of offense and had 3 sacks defensively, and they should be able to beat Idaho on Saturday. All right, USC and Washington State. This could be a really fun game to watch. Just a bunch of passes in the air. USC didn't look very good against Stanford, though, most of the game. They lost 42-28. Keaton Silva's 223 passing, a touchdown, and a pick. Washington State, they did what they needed to against Portland State, 44-24 win. Jaden Delora, 303 passing, 3 touchdowns, a pick, plus 1 rushing touchdown. Like I said, I think this will be a fun, high-scoring game. I really want to watch it, but I do think USC will come out victorious there. I think if USC loses, their coach will be fired. Georgia State and Arkansas. Georgia Southern and Arkansas. Georgia Southern, they lost big time to Florida Atlantic, 38-6. Cam Ransom, 98 passing yards, 41 rushing. They only had 257 total yards. Defensively, they did have 5 sacks in that game, but they're going to face an Arkansas team that just destroyed a ranked Texas team 40-21. It wasn't even that close. KJ Jefferson, 138 passing, ran for 73 yards. They had 333 rushing yards in that game and had 3 sacks. I think Arkansas just runs all over and beats Georgia Southern. All right, Mississippi State and Memphis. This could be a really high-scoring game. Mississippi State beat a good North Carolina State team 24-10. Will Rogers, 294 passing and 2 touchdowns. Defensively, they had 4 sacks, 3 turnovers, and a kick return for a touchdown. Memphis, they played Arkansas State, and if anybody saw that preview, I said that's the kind of game that could go 56-50. Memphis beat Arkansas State 55-50. Seth Hennigan, 417 passing yards, 5 touchdown passes. Brandon Thomas ran for 191 yards and 2 touchdowns. Calvin Austin, 6 catches, 239 receiving yards and 3 touchdowns. And Sean Dykes had 9 catches for 143 yards and 2 touchdowns. They put up 687 yards of offense. And defensively, they had 7 sacks in that game. Mississippi State, with that Mike Leach offense, they will pass it a lot. Maybe the Memphis. This is going to be a really high-scoring game. This is going to be a really close game. I think Mississippi State may outlast Memphis in the end just because maybe their defense might be slightly better, but I kind of want to go Memphis here. But I'm gonna stick with Mississippi State, but I cannot wait to actually watch that game. That's going to be a hell of a game. All right, Northwestern and Duke. On the flip side, this could be a really terrible game. Northwestern, they beat Indiana State 24-6. Hunter Johnson only passed for 66 yards and a touchdown and a pick. Evan Hull ran for 126 and 2 touchdowns. And if facing a Duke team that beat North Carolina A&T 45-17, Gunnar Holmberg 270 passing plus 2 rushing touchdowns. Both offenses, I mean, Duke still kind of turns it over a lot. Northwestern plays pretty good defense, but it doesn't seem like they're not much of an offense this season. I'm still going to go Northwestern just slightly just because of that defense, but that'll be, I think, kind of a low-scoring game. All right, Ball State and Wyoming. This could be another high-scoring game. Ball State, they did lose to Penn State 44-13. Drew Plitt only had 176 passing yards and 2 interceptions. Wyoming had an awesome game against Northern Illinois and won 50-43. Sean Chambers, 204 passing, 2 touchdowns, plus 1 rushing. Xavier Valladay ran for 101 yards and a touchdown. Defensively, they forced 3 turnovers in that game. I'm going to say this is going to be another high-scoring game, and I'm going to go with Wyoming, actually, to outlast Ball State. At Colorado State and Toledo, Colorado State had a 14-0 lead against Vanderbilt, and they lost 24-21. Todd Centio, 238 passing, 2 touchdowns, plus 75 rushing. Trey McBride, 8 catches, 114 yards, and a touchdown there. Toledo almost upset Notre Dame, lost 32-29. Carter Bradley, 213 passing. Bryant Koback, 122 rushing, and Devin Max, 9 catches, 35 yards. Defensively, they had 6 sacks in that game, forced 3 turnovers, and had a pick 6. I think Toledo bounces back. I think they're going to be upset that they almost upset Notre Dame, and I think they will be able to beat Colorado State. All right, Sacramento State and Cal. Cal had it was a fun game to watch against TCU. They only lost by 2, 34-32. Chase Garbers, 309 passing, 2 touchdowns, plus 43 rushing. Javon Clark, 2 catches, 122 yards, and a touchdown. Defensively, they had a pick 6, and they should be able to bounce back and get win number 1 of the season against Sacramento State. Arkansas State and Washington. Arkansas State, it was an awesome game against Memphis. They only lost 55-50. Both quarterbacks played. James Blackman and Lane Hatcher both put up hella numbers. Blackman, 306 passing and 4 touchdowns. Hatcher, 276 passing and a touchdown. Jeff Foreman, 8 catches, 198 yards and a touchdown. Taylor Hunt, 9 catches, 123 yards and a touchdown. They had 681 yards of offense, and defensively did have 4 sacks in that game. Whereas Washington lost to Michigan 31-10. Dylan Morris, 293 passing and a touchdown. Terrell Bynum, 5 catches, 115 and a touchdown. But those scores really came late. Michigan did what they wanted. I mean, Michigan doesn't have a great offense, but Washington offense couldn't keep up even with Michigan. I'm gonna go out here. I'm gonna say Arkansas State beats Washington. I'm gonna say Arkansas State's offense is too much for Dylan Morris at Washington to contend with. Murray State and Bowling Green. Bowling Green played a pretty good game against South Alabama and only lost at the end 22-19. Matt McDonald had a good game, 308 passing and a touchdown. Defensively, they did get a safety and a pick 6. Murray State played Cincinnati pretty tough in that first half, so Murray State should not be a turnover, but Bowling Green actually showed something that I haven't seen in a while in any kind of competitiveness. So I'm going to say Bowling Green is able to get a win there. All right, Middle Tennessee State and UTSA. Middle Tennessee State lost to Virginia Tech 35-14. Bailey Hockman, 207 passing, 1 touchdown, 1 pick. Jimmy Marshall, 8 catches, 111 yards. Whereas UTSA had a big win against Lamar, 54-0. Frank Harris passed for 118. Josh Adkins passed for 134 and 2 touchdowns. Defensively, the punt return for a touchdown. This could be a pretty interesting game, a pretty good game. I'm going to go with UTSA only because both their quarterbacks, whoever they play, should do well, but they do have Sincere McCormick at running back. He's one of the best in the country, and I think he could take over that game and beat Middle Tennessee State. So I'm going to go UTSA to win that one. Fordham against Florida Atlantic. Florida Atlantic had a really good win against Georgia Southern, 38-6. And Cozy Perry, 332 passing yards, 4 touchdowns. Jonte Wester, 7 catches, 124 and a touchdown. They put up 528 yards of offense, and they should be able to do that again against Fordham. ECU and Marshall. ECU had a close loss to South Carolina, lost 20-17. Ehlers really wasn't very good, 11 of 24, 77 yards passing and 2 interceptions. He did run for a touchdown. Defensively, they had 3 sacks and forced 3 turnovers to stay close in that game. Marshall did what they wanted against North Carolina Central, 44-10. Grant Wells, 347 passing, 3 touchdowns and a pick, plus 1 rushing. They had 700 yards of offense. They turned over 3 times. They can't do that and expect to blow out East Carolina. But defensively, they had 3 sacks and 3 turnovers. I'm going to say Marshall. This could be kind of a fun game to watch, but I'm going to say Marshall comes out and outlasts ECU. All right, Old Dominion and Liberty. Old Dominion had a win against Hampton and looked pretty good, 47-7. DJ Mack, former UCF quarterback, 162 passing and a touchdown, plus 57 rushing yards and 3 rushing touchdowns. John Luke Peaker ran for 141 yards. Elijah Davis, 109 rushing yards and a touchdown. They had 358 rushing yards and 572 total in that game. Whereas Liberty and Troy, it was a close game like I thought, but it wasn't as high scoring. Liberty did win 21-13. The difference was Malik Willis, 154 passing and 2 touchdowns, plus 93 rushing and a touchdown. Defensively, they did have 5 sacks in that game. So if Matt can play that well for Old Dominion all the rest of the year, they could have a pretty decent team, and they might have a decent chance against Liberty, but I think Liberty, Troy was a good team, and I think Liberty will come out and win that one. All right, South Carolina and Georgia. South Carolina beat ECU 20-17. Zeb Nolan, 214 passing, 1 touchdown, 1 pick. Josh Vann, 5 catches, 160 yards. They had 3 turnovers. They don't want to do that if they want to stay close to Georgia. Defensively, though, they did have 5 sacks and a pick 6 in the game. Georgia destroyed UAB 56-7. Stetson Bennett, the backup, he came in because JT Daniel was hurt. Bennett, all he did was pass for 288 and 5 touchdowns. Brock Bowers, 3 catches, 107 yards, and 2 touchdowns. They put up 539 yards of offense. Defensively, they forced 3 turnovers and had a pick 6. I think Georgia looked better than I thought they would. I'm still not completely sold on Georgia, but I will say they should beat South Carolina here. If it's a close game, then Georgia fans should be. Georgia's favored by 31. I do think it might be closer than that, but I'll still go with Georgia in the end to win. All right, Charlotte and Georgia State. Charlotte did well against Gardner-Webb, 38-10. Chris Reynolds, only 103 passing yards, passing his 1 touchdown, 2 picks. He doesn't want to do that against Georgia State. He did run for 60 yards and a touchdown. They did run for 306 rushing yards. Georgia State, they lost to North Carolina 59-17. Brown was not very good at all, 12 of 26, 68 yards, a pick, and ran for 1. This could be, again, another high-scoring game, but I'm going to Charlotte in the end to win with Chris Reynolds at quarterback. All right, FIU and Texas Tech. FIU lost in overtime to Texas State, 23-17. Max Bortenschlager, 259 passing and 2 touchdowns. Devontae Price had a nice game, 111 yards, but they turned it over 3 times. They can't do that if they want to keep it close to Texas Tech. That being said, Texas Tech did have a close win against 1AA Stephen F. Austin. They only won 28-22. Tyler Shue passed for 163, a touchdown, and 2 picks himself. Taj Brooks ran for 115 and 2 touchdowns. Eric Ezukanma, 6 catches, 144 and a touchdown. They turned it over four times in that game. Florida International is kind of a pesky team. If Texas Tech turns it over 4 times, it's possible that Florida International could get a win over Texas Tech, but I'm going to say that Texas Tech still wins. All right, Troy and Southern Miss. Troy lost a close game to a good Liberty team, 21-13. Taylor Powell, 211 passing, 1 touchdown and pick. They did have 5 sacks in that game. Southern Miss played fine against Grambling, 37-0. Both quarterbacks were okay. Trey Lowe, 99 passing yards and a touchdown. Ty Keys, 4 of 11, 50 yards and 1 touchdown plus 56 rushing yards. It was Frank Gore Jr. who kind of won that game with 162 rushing yards and a touchdown. I think Troy, though, will bounce back from that close loss to Liberty and be able to get past Southern Miss. All right, Grambling and Houston. Houston destroyed Rice 44-7. Clayton Tune 236 passing, 2 touchdowns, plus 49 rushing. Defensively, they had 4 sacks, 3 turnovers, and a pick 6, and should be able to beat Grambling. All right, Florida A&M against USF. USF did lose 42-20 against UF, but they were able to move the ball a little bit at times. Cade Fortin, 12 of 18 with 91 yards. Timmy McLean, 4 of 10 for 83 yards. I think they showed just enough that they should be able to beat Florida A&M, but maybe not blow them out, but at least should be able to win. All right, Incarnate Ward and Texas State. Texas State had a nice win against FIU in overtime, 23-17. Brady McBride, 165 passing, a touchdown, plus 53 rushing yards. They forced 3 turnovers, which helped that win that game, and they should be able to get past Incarnate Ward. And then the final game of the midday games. This will be a really interesting one. Utah Utes and the San Diego State Aztecs. Utah's coming off a loss to BYU, 26-17. Charlie Brewer only had 147 passing, a touchdown, and a pick. Micah Bernard ran for 146 and a touchdown. They had 2 turnovers in that game. Where San Diego State, they did what they wanted against another Pac-12 team. They beat Arizona 38-14. Jordan Brookshire was fine, 183 passing and 2 touchdowns. Gray Bell went off for 125 rushing yards and a touchdown. Daniel Bellinger, 3 catches, 113 and a touchdown. Defensively, they had 4 sacks and blocked a punt return for a touchdown. Now, nationally speaking, San Diego State, over the last basically 10 years, has had one of the best defenses, statistically speaking, in all of college football. So has Utah. I'm going to say, though, Utah will be the one that gets the win here. I think Charlie Brewer at quarterback is... San Diego State never really has a quarterback. They just have a great defense and a really good running back, which they have this year. But I think Utah will have the edge because of the quarterback play. So I'm going to go Utah with a very, very close win in that game. So those are my games for the midday. Check out my other ones later. Peace.